All right, moving right along and trying to keep us on track. Our next speaker, John Arndt. No regrets. After 15 years in a partnership, John Arndt determined it was time to create an opportunity for other team members to gain some ownership in the business. There was no true succession plan, and the remaining partner couldn't decide if it was ready to exit the business. In addition, there were other challenges that John had to overcome in order to find a path that eventually led to the full ownership of the business. Listen as John shares about the best advice he never took in No Regrets.
So, no regrets. Well, it begins with 1981 when I left a great job in the city. I was with a large international construction company, and I left that job to be a part of starting a new business. In fact, one of my former mates said, really, you were a trunk slammer, because it was you in a pickup truck. And when I showed up at meetings, the competition, I think, saw this. It was me, a guy, and a ladder. So anyway, fast forward to 1995. And the business grew, it became very successful, and I found myself being invited to be a partner, but really what I learned is I was given a pair of golden handcuffs. But it was comfortable, and things went well, and so we continued along. So November 2010, I had already brought out one of the other partners, and I realized it was time to buy out the remaining partner. He was really the investment partner at that point. He owned 67% of the company. And so the only choices were he sells to me at some point, or he dies and I get it all through an insurance policy. And so there was really no succession plan. There was no planning involved in how the company would continue. So this should be easy peasy. I mean, he's a reasonable guy. I mean, what could go wrong? He only owned 67%. So the negotiation begins, and it looked a lot like this cartoon. I came to the table and I made an offer. He countered, and it was as you would expect. It was more than I thought it was worth, and I was offering much less than he thought the value. And so we begin a series of conversations. And so I make the first counter offer shortly after that. And then I make the second counter offer, and we have more discussion. Then I make a third counter offer, we have more discussion. And then I make a fourth counter offer, more conversation. And we get to the fifth counter offer, and at the end of the conversation, he leans across the table very politely and says to me, "Why would I sell?" The company was profitable, he'd always made money, he saw little risk in it, and he said, "John, why would I sell?" And I looked at him and I said, really, I don't have an answer any longer for you. I agree. Why would you sell? And so we shook hands, we left the meeting, we were still partners, we were still friends, but now it was time for advice. And so there are lots of voices out there. There's lots of advice. And so the loudest voice that came across after this fifth counteroffer was, start a new company, John. Just start a new company. You're the president, you're the CEO. You have all the client relationships. You have all of the employee relationships. You have the operational knowledge of the business, and you'll have to borrow less money. So just start another company. So what to do? What to do? And so the pros to this were, okay, less or no borrowed money. I can rebuild the company with a framework that's more efficient that I might like. I would own 100% of the business, and it would probably force the liquidation of the existing company, which means I could buy assets at a very much reduced price. And I could bring key team members in quickly because I would now have full control. So the cons, it would force the liquidation and it would be unpleasant. There'd be an adverse impact, or could be, on the 50 families that depended on the business every day for their income. And I could risk losing some of the key team members that I wanted to bring into the business. In addition, the contractor's license might not transfer easily or quickly, which would create a gap and could lose some clients. And at that time, I was 57, and I had to ask myself, do I really want to do this again? Is that what I want? So there's a but. And I had a 30-year-old non-compete single-page document. And as Hamlet in Shakespeare would say, there's the rub. So it simply said, you can't compete in our market, you can't steal our customers, you can't steal our employees. It was simple and to the point. Here come the voices and the advice again. And so this time they're so easy, John, to get out of. That is a single page. Are you kidding me? Anybody can get out of that. Also, what's he going to do? Is he going to try to hire somebody else and keep the company going? I mean, he's been out of the business for over 10 years. And if I violate the agreement, now attorneys get involved. And not only that, but I'm going to stick it to the guy who gave me an opportunity, who made me a partner, who got behind me to support growing that business. So, what did I do? Nothing. I did nothing. I didn't know what to do. In fact, I sat down, and because of that agreement, I knew that I could not start a new business. I signed that agreement. It was dated, and by today's measure, it was very poorly written. But in good faith, we both executed that agreement 30 years earlier. So it was really about doing the right thing. And I didn't do anything. I really didn't know what else to do. I mean, I really felt like I'd hit a stalling point. Company was profitable. I was doing well. But I knew that the long-term success of the business needed to create an opportunity to bring some other people into it in order for it to continue on past me, to continue on growing. So October 17th, 2011 is the day that the world changed for me. He walks into my office and says, make me an offer that matches what you paid the other partner, and we have a deal. I really didn't know what to say. In fact, on October 27th of that same year, we closed the deal, and on the 17th of February the next year, it was done. We could talk about the pain of going through the SBA loan process. I've never seen so much incompetence in my life, but I ended up with a loan. They had me tied up every way you can imagine, but it made the deal work. So, what happened? What happened in those 2 or 3 weeks between when he tells me, why would I sell? 2 or 3 weeks later, he walks into my office and says, make me an offer. And so, there was no explanation. He didn't give me one. I didn't ask for one. He changed his mind. And I never have learned what caused that. But I will tell you this, that some know me personally and know me as a man of faith, or you would call me a man of faith. And I sincerely believe that God changed his heart. In fact, what I didn't tell you is from that time of 2009 and 10, when I realized we've got to find a way for him to exit and for me to gain control of the business, I then began to pray just for wisdom, that I would have insight and know how to do this. I needed skills. I needed to get good advice. I needed information that would help me make that transition. And so if you're familiar at all with the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, Solomon writes this. He says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes. I truly believe that in those few weeks, God changed his heart. Because it went from why would I sell to make me an offer that matches what you paid the previous partner. So the best advice I never took, building a new company in the midst of a legal battle over the non-compete and trying to get my cash out of the existing business. I did what I thought was the right thing to do. And does it always work? It doesn't always work the way I'd like it to. And the thing is, though, I don't have any regrets over choosing to do what I thought was right. In fact, in preparing for this, I read an article about that, about people that have regrets. And the article went on to say, you know, you really don't need to beat yourself up over decisions you've made that you regret, because you made the best decision you could at the time with the information you had. And so you need to think about the information that you're gathering. And within the same time period, I came across an interview with Willie Nelson, of all people. And I'd say he's had some not great advice at times, maybe not made some great decisions. But when he was asked the very question, Willie, do you have any regrets? He said this. He said, if I changed anything in the back, it would change where I am now, and I really like where I am now. So I wouldn't change a thing. And so I think that's some good advice right there, that I wouldn't change a thing because it would change where I am today. So there are a lot of voices out there, and when you're looking for advice, choose wisely so that you too will have no regrets. Thank you.